Well, that was pretty ugly. Let's talk about Thursday Night Football here on Verts. My name is Harrison Graham, and the Cowboys win 20-15 over the Giants. Neither team really wanted to win this game. Giants kicking 5 field goals. Brandon Aubrey missing a field goal late to kind of keep the door ajar for New York, but ultimately Daniel Jones' desperation mode gets picked off on a deep ball, basically a Hail Mary, with just about 10 seconds left. And little side note, I had the Cowboys minus 5.5 tonight. Aubrey's never missed from 50 plus. Perfect time to miss his first one there. So that cost me a few bucks. But hey, what are you going to do? Full reaction to this game tonight. But like I said, we are Verts, an NFL and college football show here on YouTube, bringing you content every single day. So if you want to stay up to date on the top storylines around the NFL and college football world, my reaction to top games, and a whole lot more, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We've got you covered. All right, let's talk about this one a little bit for tonight, and then also big picture. I'm watching this game, and the whole time I'm thinking, okay, clearly Dallas is the better team. They're a little more capable offensively. Dak is a better player than Daniel Jones, although Dak was skipping some balls tonight. At times, he certainly wasn't great. Daniel Jones at one point was 22 of 26, and I tweeted out, this is the worst 22 of 26 performance you'll ever see. He ended up 29 of 40. I mean, it's all dink and dunk. Every time he went downfield, it's way underthrown. But my main takeaway from this game is this was a mid-off, as the kids would say. Mid, a.k.a. Average. This felt like two average teams, and I think New York's below average, but they hung around in this one. Dallas doesn't feel like a playoff team right now, though. They beat the Browns in week 1. They got spanked in week 2 against the Saints. They were getting blown out last week, rallied late against Baltimore, but clearly got outplayed. And then tonight, they had multiple chances in the second half to put that game away, and they just couldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. And you're just like, the Giants stink. Why are you letting this team hang around? And I don't know. I just, looking forward, I guess on a glass half full standpoint, the Cowboys defense had been getting shredded on the ground. They stuffed New York tonight. The Giants had 24 carries for 26 yards. So that's a pretty dominant defensive performance, but on the ground. But Daniel Jones, you're just giving him these underneath throws all night. Malik Nabers, who we'll talk about, had a big game. And multiple times, you're one big play away from losing this thing. And there were a couple times where Jones went downfield, and it's like, if this was a better quarterback, the Giants would be winning this game. I mean, seriously. This was I think if you're the Giants and you're walking out of that stadium tonight, you're John Mara, you're Jones Shane, Brian Dable, you're looking at this and you're like, this quarterback's just not good enough. If we had a better quarterback, we'd have a much better chance in these games. I mean, they easily could have beat Washington 2 weeks ago. They easily could have won tonight. They're 1-3. They could be 3-1, and I don't even think they're that good. So I guess if you're a Giants fan, you feel like, well, if we could get a quarterback this next offseason, maybe we could do something. Now, we'll see what that is, but I think falling to 1-3 with their limited talent pool and certain areas, and certainly Daniel Jones, you're not getting back into the playoff mix. I mean, look at the Giants' schedule moving forward. At Seattle next week, that's tough. Bengals at home, I know they're 0-3, but I like Cincinnati in that spot. Eagles at home, at the Steelers, Washington, who's off to a pretty good start. You could easily lose all those games. This was pivotal for Dallas because their schedule's tough coming up too. At the Steelers on Sunday Night Football next week. Lions at home, at the 49ers, at the Falcons, Eagles, Texans, at Washington before you play the Giants again on Thanksgiving. If Dallas fell to 1-3, the heat on Mike McCarthy tomorrow would be significant. Now, I still think there's going to be talking points of what's going on with Dallas, but you're 2-2. It's a lot easier to kind of manage those questions as an organization coming off a win, but this was not anything impressive. This was not anything to write home about. I mean, sure, like I said, the run defense was better, but you're playing Devin Singletary in an average offensive line. 2 weeks ago, you made Alvin Kamara look like prime Barry Sanders. So Dak Prescott, 22 of 27, 220, and a couple of touchdowns. Most of that damage done in the first half. Um, a lot of underneath stuff there as well. Missed a few throws. Dallas doesn't run the ball that well. 23 carries for 80 yards. That's going to be a problem in some of their bigger games. So, I don't know. Dallas feels like a team that's going to be fighting for like the 6 and 7 seed in the NFC. Giants feel like a team that's going to be picking in the top 7. They might be a little better than expected because Malik Nabers is so awesome. And I will say this, their defensive front's pretty solid. Kayvon Thibodeau was abusing Tyler Guyton tonight. They've been waiting for him to have a breakout game this year. I thought he was pretty good. Dexter Lawrence is obviously very good as well. They have Brian Burns, who's been a little hit and miss this year when he's played. But, yeah, I got to be honest. I'm watching that game, and I'm just like, this is unwatchable. I mean, flags were coming out every play. The officials didn't seem to know what the hell was going on half the time. But, I react to these primetime games, and I had a little money on the Cowboys minus 5.5, so I'm on the edge of my seat at the end of the game. And Brandon Aubrey, who hit a 60-yarder in this game, second straight week for 60+, had never missed in his career from 50+, pushes a kick late. And I'm just like, what are you doing? So that was pretty brutal, but yeah, CeeDee Lamb bounced back, had a 55-yard touchdown, 98 and a touch tonight. But you guys tell me, I mean, you're watching Dallas tonight. Do they scream contender to you? This offense is static. They can't run the ball. They don't do pre-snap motion. They lined up CeeDee Lamb in the backfield a couple times, which I kind of like, but they're handing the ball to him. Like, run an angle route out of the backfield, Mike. I don't know. I don't know what the Cowboys' direction is this year. I think it's going to be one of those, week 16, 17, 18. They're going to be right there on the bubble trying to sneak into the playoffs because the NFC is a lot deeper this year. I mean, you go by division. Look at their own division. Philadelphia is going to be in the mix. Washington looks better than expected. Obviously, the Giants aren't very good, but, this might be a 3-team division instead of 2. NFC North, you've got 3 really good teams right now. The Vikings, Packers, and the Lions, obviously. We'll see if the Bears jump into that mix. They had a lot of hype coming into the year. NFC West, Seattle. I know the 49ers and Rams are off to slow starts, but they're still capable, and the Cardinals look improved. So, NFC South, you got Tampa, New Orleans, and Atlanta. I mean, it is not a given that Dallas is a playoff team for a 4th straight season, and it's definitely not a given that they're the team to beat in the NFC East. I would give Philly that edge right now, although they're flawed as well. Washington, let's pump the brakes, let's see, but they're at least formidable. Like, they're not a joke. Some people thought they'd be a joke this year. They're not a joke. I mean, they're going to be competitive, and Jaden Daniels looks solid. So, I think for the Cowboys moving forward, they've got to find a second playmaker on offense outside of CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson's a nice player, but if he's your number 2, that's not great. Cooks and Tolbert are fine. Nothing special. Cooks is beyond his prime. Tolbert's just an okay receiver right now. And they don't have any good running backs. So, yeah, and their offensive line has issues. Guyton did not look good tonight. Over on the right side, I forget the right tackle's name. He's blanking on me. He was really good a few years ago. Then he tore his ACL. Has not been the same since. But, yeah, I think tonight, at least, you're not going to hear the Mike McCarthy hot seat chatter that you undoubtedly would have heard tomorrow and through the weekend had Dallas blown this game, which they easily could have. But I do think you kind of leave it as an outsider looking in, as this doesn't feel like a high-level team. This is an average team, and the Giants are not very good at all. I mean, Daniel Jones, this is one of those where you wake up and look at the box score and it's like, oh, he played decent last night. No, he didn't. I mean, he was inaccurate on anything beyond 10 yards for the most part. Threw a nice, deep in the first half, but Malik Nabers, who's unbelievable, by the way, he runs a slant and go, completely breaks the ankles of a Cowboys defensive back, and Jones just lobs the ball. He has to turn, wait for it, basically call a fair catch, and by the time he catches it, a couple of DBs get over there and are able to tackle him. If he throws a rope to him in stride, he might score. And those little details are critical in a game like this where one big play could have changed the outcome. So Daniel Jones, not the long-term answer in New York. The Cowboys, at least the defense played better, but shoot, the Giants didn't punt much tonight. They just couldn't score touchdowns. They kicked 5 field goals. So Dallas wins 20-15. Kind of the first, okay, Thursday night football does suck sometimes, game of the year, and it sucked tonight. It was not very entertaining whatsoever. So there you have it. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more coverage. Big football weekend ahead. We will see you guys soon here on 4 Verts.